Lost Art with Andrew Cox, retired Master Gunnery Sergeant. thelostart.podbean.com. Get some merchandise and help support the podcast in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. Now on all major podcast platforms. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be a guest, tell your veteran story, discuss your veteran business or organization. Email The Lost Art with Andrew Cox at gmail.com. Andrew Cox, a Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. See the project story at tillvalhallaproject.com. Thanks for tuning in. Please enjoy the podcast that's giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a fireside chat with the crew and a couple of special guests. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? And be sure to go to the Lost Art website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check it out. See what we got going on there. There is that merchandise tab. If you want to get you some cool gear, go ahead and click on that and help support us in getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. I also want to give a shout out to the Till Valhalla Project and allowing me to be an ambassador for that incredible organization. If you don't know anything about them, go to tillvalhallaproject.com. Go check it out. If there's any way you can support them, please do so. All right, with that, I got the crew here and our special guests, and we're going to go round robin. We'll start with Krista. Krista, how you doing?
Outstanding. Another great day here at Parris Island, South Carolina. Training Marines, getting it done. Looking for a new week.
Nice.
Get to talk to Mike Company this week, I think, and it's going to be a great week.
Very good. Very good. I like that. I just interviewed a gentleman we did a fireside chat. It posted on Saturday. Did you see that? He said he knows you. He goes over and does the talks as well. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on his name right this second. Zach, that's it. Zachary Green. Yeah.
Zachary Green.
Yeah, he's a fun guy, and he gave us a little tour of the his museum and / bar and ridiculous stuff he's got going on. It's pretty cool.
He's a great guy. He just actually got certified to do the what did you do, Vic, when you got out? What's it called? The 6 month, the Skill Bridge, right? Skill Bridge.
Yeah. So I saw that post. His
company got certified to do Skill Bridge, so he's excited. He's really excited.
Yeah, he's doing some amazing things. So it's a good podcast. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But that was for all the listeners, not you, Krista. I apologize. We'll jump over. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good. It's been a good week.
Yeah.
As usual, tired. The older I get, the less I want to do stuff. But
yeah.
It is what it is. But to go back to what you were saying about that podcast, Krista, he spoke highly of you.
Yeah.
And that was, you got to watch it. I told my wife about it. I said, hey, when he posts it, you got to watch it. She's like, okay. And she started watching it at work the other night. She's a night shift nurse. And I said, but you can watch it if you want, listen to it, but just go straight to the end of the museum and the secret at the end. You got to see this.
It is cool.
Yeah. It was pretty amazing. Well, when you got Chesty Puller's footprints out of his home in Jacksonville on the floor, it's like.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You guys got to check that out. Yeah.
No, it's been a good week. I can't complain. Could definitely be worse.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it could. That's for sure. Vic, how about you? How you doing?
Life is good. We just celebrated our daughter's 18th birthday party last night.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you. It was fun, though. She wanted to do fondue, so we had cheese fondue and then broth for meats and stuff, and then chocolate fondue for dessert. It was good. It was a lot of people. We had 15, 16 people here at the house at one point. So, it was fun. Let's see. This week's cigar is a Fuente 1960s version, or from their 1960s collection called the Rare Pink. This is the work of art. This is Perfecto, about 4.5 inches long. A lot of people call them torpedoes. Let's see, there is Nicaraguan and Dominican binder and filler, and then it is an Ecuadorian wrapper. Supposed to be a very full body cigar. So if I make it to the end without throwing up, I'll let you know.
Very nice.
Vic, just so we're
Very
clear,
nice.
that the tobacco's not from the 1960s, correct?
Correct. Not from the it's just their 1960s series. So he was inspired by all the I guess the flower child era, which is where the pink comes from. The pink flower is from the 60s. If it was 60s tobacco, I would not smoke it. I smoked a cigar that was 10 years old a couple weeks ago, and it put me on my rear end. Yeah,
as a general rule, the flower children did not approve of torpedoes.
Yeah, yes,
yeah,
right.
that's true.
Yeah, but I'll let you know how this one goes.
Sounds good.
But we all know that Vic doesn't smoke cigars. He just started this recently.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't actually smoke them. So
it's a hobby he's just recently picked up here in the last week or so.
Yeah, totally.
I'd say in the last couple of days, right, Vic?
Probably, yeah.
Very novice. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, we got our two friends from Tracer Burnout with us. We got Roger and Dan. How y'all doing?
We're doing good.
Every day is an adventure, man.
That is true statement. Seriously? True statement. I'm excited you guys finally come back on. You know, now we can have our battle back and forth, you know, the Marines and the Army, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, who's Chesty Puller? What is this?
Oh no.
I am just
shots fired.
I'm just glad that we could finally work out a time that worked for us and the rest of you crayon snacking flautists.
Yes. Thank you.
Flautists.
Yeah, that's how we do it here. You know.
Yeah, I think I got something to do, Andrew.
Tell me. Yeah.
I got.
Hey, to be fair, Dan has been wanting to work that into a sentence for weeks now, and he finally had his opportunity. So
that's
He's been practicing, right?
That's just the last few days.
Well, I'm glad we could help you out, Dan. That's good. That's good.
So you've been writing it out, trying to reword it. It's like, no, how am I going to write it? How am I going to say it?
Yeah, just imagine him writing on a legal pad over and over and over again.
We have two whiteboards that we use for the show, and I ran several dry erase markers working it out.
Very nice. I like it.
He couldn't put percussionist in. He had to be flautist.
Yeah. That's right. So talk to us about Tracer Burnout. You guys you're moving along. So tell us what you got going on.
Yeah. So this show we're on right now, this was the first guest spot we ever did on another podcast was here with the crew. So this is our sophomore effort. So please don't hold it against us. We have come a long way since I want to say that was May or June timeframe.
Yeah, around then. Yeah,
we did that. Yeah, so we've come a long way. Still doing guests. We've increased our output. We were doing every 3 weeks because I was still up in Virginia and we were having to travel and stuff. Now I'm officially retired as of the 1st of October and living here in beautiful Fayetteville, North Carolina, the All-American city. And so Dan and I increased our output to every other week now, which we're definitely feeling the crunch on that. You want to take it from here, Dan?
Yeah, I mean we increased the output, which has induced some strain, to be sure. Not to mention a slew of other issues that came along with. Well, I shouldn't say that. We had some poor timing a couple of months ago with just it seemed like everything was going off the rails while we were under the gun as far as release and things like that. But we've gotten everything smoothed out now, and we are trying to continue to refine the product that we're putting out. And we do think that it has consistently gotten better, whether it's in the studio or the quality of the product that we put on the audio only version and the video version. So
yeah,
it's been an endeavor, but it is worth it, right?
Yeah, very much so. And I just listened to one of them recently, and you guys doing a fantastic job interviewing and stuff like that, especially with the two of you going back and forth. It's worked out pretty well.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
I guess it's the one upside to knowing this guy for pretty much my entire life. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
cross that I've had to bear, but I bear it gladly.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And then how many episodes are you guys on right now?
Episode 16
16.
comes out
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yep.
And
Okay.
then
Very nice.
we have episodes 17 and 18 in the bank. Before I came into the studio here for this, I just finished up the audio portion for episode 17.
Nice.
Tomorrow is a Navy veteran, and then 2 weeks will be an Air Force veteran, and then in 4 weeks it will be an Army Special Forces Vietnam veteran.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
we do try. We don't just put the focus on, the current generation. We really do try to get the stories of the older generations recorded for their families, especially since those past generations were so reluctant to talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
their experiences for one reason or another. So we do try to get as many of them as possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask a question and it just went that way. So I apologize for that. Yeah, I remember what it was. Have you guys noticed that you get feedback from the individual's family, especially the older individuals that don't really talk about it? Do you get feedback from their family?
Not a whole lot. Part of it is maybe it's kind of a confirmation bias, but the older folks are generally not nearly as online as the younger
Mm-hmm.
folks. And so, like in Dan's case, our second episode was with a Navy corpsman from Vietnam. All the
Right.
feedback that we've gotten is from the two of them getting together and having, breakfast. So it's not necessarily on Facebook or anything like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I found that a lot of the family members really didn't know a lot of the stories. For whatever reason, veterans don't seem to talk about it too
Yeah.
much. And then the family members, when they do hear it, they're like, "Wow, you did all this? Wow, I had no clue."
Well,
So
that's kind of what that's kind of what we're going after is through the veterans talking to veterans approach,
Mhm.
because there are things that veterans will talk to other veterans about, but won't talk to their spouse about,
Very
won't
true.
talk to their parents about, or won't talk to their kids about, but they will open up to other veterans because of the shared experience and the shared service.
Right.
We have asked for feedback from people, but most of the time, the guest is just like, "Oh yeah, my family loved it."
Yeah, yeah,
But it's like, well, why didn't they say something?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. Oh man. The oh man, I am not on my game tonight. I am spaced out like it's cool. I apologize. I'm here. Oh, that's Vic. I don't know what he said. He's here, he said. Anyways, I'm stumbling. What was I gonna say?
Dan is so incredibly handsome. He has that effect on people sometimes.
It's true.
Yeah, threw me
It's
off.
the,
Threw me
it's the
off.
beard.
Yeah.
It's
the
his beard that he does not use just for men on.
Is
What
that
you're
right?
what you're seeing there is rampant jealousy from Roger.
It's true.
Yeah.
This is what 3 daughters will get you right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't
I
really see it in
understand
the
that
camera,
too.
but there is some gray, and the longer I let it grow, the more gray becomes evident.
Mm.
He's got to brag about the beard because there's nothing up here, just like me. So I can't.
It's true.
I do.
There's nothing up here or in here. So
I haven't shaved in like 2 days. There is hair here, just not right here.
Yeah, that's me. This area right here is like a reverse mohawk.
it's a
Yes,
desolate
exactly.
wasteland.
Yeah, I keep telling
You
my
know-
wife, I said, I'm just going to grow it out one of these days. And she goes, please don't. And I'm like, I'm just going to grow it out. And I had a teacher in middle school. It was like that. Had the biggest comb over you ever saw. I said, I'm just going to grow it out so I can flop it over and I'll wash it to one side. Then I'll flick it
There you
over
go.
the top. And
There you go.
Dan and I had
See,
a middle school geography teacher that had the worst come over we'd ever seen. Oh.
Yes.
I had a Marine that we served together, and he always had this comb over. I mean, it was bad. and we went running one day. We're like running our PFT or something, and it was real windy. So when he's running the way out,
It was
the
just
wind was
flapping.
blowing the correct way. When we went back the other way, it flopped, and now his hair's like up, and he's trying to hold it down while he's running. And like I ran by him, and I was making fun of him. The sergeant major runs by, making fun of him. Like everybody's making fun of him about it. And then like I don't know, but like a week later, he comes up and he's like, "I think it's time. I'm going to shave my head." And I was like, "Yeah, it probably is." But
Y'all
yeah,
were
that
getting
was
the
pretty
intervention ready for him.
epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
for sure.
certainly seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys in the army do they have like archives where they record people's stories and stuff?
Um, yes and no.
Okay.
Is there a specific, United States Army archive for recording veteran stories? No. Or at least not that I'm aware of. But
Okay.
there are different projects that the DoD does sponsor, and um, the Smithsonian also has a
Hmm.
project that they have been working on for like 50 plus years that is constantly fighting for funding. Uh,
Right.
and then there are uh, a couple of other non-governmental organizations that are doing sort of the same thing.
Mhm.
Um, they all have a different approach, and a lot of the times it is, from what I have noticed, it is very, very, very scripted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's
Yeah. Yeah.
after
just,
every, yeah, go ahead.
have you ever read an after action report for,
Yeah.
for like
Yeah.
for like a combat scenario?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It is so dry. It
Yeah.
is so
Hmm.
bland. And to be fair, there are people that when they write it, there's a lot of self-aggrandizement that goes into
Mm,
it
yeah.
for certain individuals. Um, and so the Army reads those and says, "Oh, well, let's get this story down on tape." And so
Right.
the Veterans Project with the Smithsonian sits there with a list of questions about the specific incident, and you write down your answers on the paper, and then they
Hmm.
actually record your answers that you wrote down on camera.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Wow.
that is just it is perhaps factually accurate, but it's so impersonal and so boring,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and
The way we do it, both you guys and us, it's so much easier for somebody to tell a story if they're just sitting and chatting type of thing.
yeah,
Whereas if you're having to write down specifics and facts and all that stuff, yeah, it's going to get
yeah,
really boring really quick. So,
yeah.
the reason I bring that up is I've been working with Marine Corps universities, and we're trying to get, because they have a program at the museum where veterans can come in and record their stories.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to work with the Marine Corps universities to archive all of the my veteran stories that I've been doing. So I was just wondering if there was a equivalent to, I guess, Marine Corps universities for the Army that archives that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, so to Dan's point, I mean, there's out at Fort Leavenworth, which is the Combined Arms Center, which is kind of
Hmm.
for all intents and purposes, it's kind of the center of the universe as far as all of our doctrine and our training comes from. The
Right.
actual training headquarters, the big 4 stars in Virginia, which is where I was the last time we spoke to each other.
Hmm.
So, and within the Combined Arms Center, they have, we call it the Call, which is the Center for Army Lessons Learned. And so some of the interviews and post deployment AARs and a lot of that information, sometimes it's not even nearly that formal. Like sometimes guys getting debriefed coming home from doing, support to something in Ukraine, they'll get pulled into a
Yeah.
room and go through all the debriefing and all that stuff. And really, really smart people will pull all that information together and try to find a way to get that new information codified into something that can be used to drive doctrine later down the road. But to answer your question a little more succinctly, no, kind of what we're doing, no, it's not nearly that interesting, I promise.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I don't know. Hopefully this something comes of this. I've been working with them. We'll find out. So I got to send them some of the podcasts, and I don't know. We'll see where it goes. If it goes well for me or what have you, surely there is there has to be somewhere Army would be interested in it, I would think, to be able to keep those. But
you would think.
I don't know.
Don't call me Shirley.
Guys, I had been
I see
working,
you, Mike.
When I was taking photos for Find a Grave years ago at the Beaufort National Cemetery, I would often go and use the VA locator to find, the graves. I'm going to stutter because I get a little nervous here. And I would often go on the locator, and as you were speaking about it, Daniel or Dan, I just went on the VA website, the Veterans Department Affairs website, and sure enough, it's actually, I'm looking at it now, so I would have to do more research to do some clarification. But under there's a Veterans Legacy Program, and you'd have to do some more. Is that it? Is that what you were referring to a minute ago?
That is another one of them. Yes.
And I would just have to read a little bit about it. The Veterans Legacy Program commemorates our nation's veterans, and it just talks about through discovery and sharing their stories. VLP encourages students and teachers around the country at the university and K-12 levels. Okay, so that's a different type, I think, of program, but it's something similar. You probably know more about it than I do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, that is one of the ones that when Roger and I first started putting our idea together for Tracer Burnout, that was one of the ones that we saw that was kind of like, is this really what people are going to hear about veterans? And it wasn't, it didn't really mesh with our idea of what we thought that people should be hearing.
Right.
Human interest, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately.
I just knew I had seen that a while back, and I kind of wondered.
Yeah.
I thought I had heard something about that, about their stories, and I didn't
the
know
VLP. Yeah.
Right, exactly. The VLP encouraged. Okay, so it's as far as colleges and universities. It's not necessarily it's not with the VA per se, right?
Yeah. I believe it is. I believe it's a separate project, but it does have an NGO arm that provides most of the funding.
Right.
As well as, private donations and things like that. So they record, if I remember correctly, they record your story through a series of questionnaires about specific events and timelines, and it's very cut and dry. And then they pump you for funding for their project.
Oh, okay.
There's the hook.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, we recorded your story. Would you like to give us money?
Sure, exactly.
That may not be 100% accurate. Again, when we first started looking into all this stuff, it was, oh wow, over a year ago, Raj.
Yeah. Hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's called the Veterans Legacy Program, is what it was.
Yeah.
Lesson plans.
Or is it program or project?
It says program. It's on the website. It says Veterans Legacy Program. There's some videos, lessons plans, colleges and universities. And then there's the Veterans Legacy Grant Program that comes with it. So there's some other things on there that talks about it.
Yeah.
It's only had, I don't know how many years it's been in play, how long they've been doing it. So.
Yeah. There are plenty of other projects out there that are doing similar stuff to, what we're all doing. But I guess the veteran has to find the right approach that works for them, right?
Right.
They have to find the venue that works best for them to sit down and talk. So
they feel comfortable. And I guess they award funding to to 35 or so programs, depending on whichever one the veteran feels comfortable with. It'll depend on what they feel comfortable. Interesting. Okay. That was all. I just
It
didn't
is
know if you're aware of
interesting.
that, AJ, or not. Yeah.
I was not. No, no. I have not done any of that research like Dan. He actually looked into things, and I did true Marine fashion. I ate my crayon, jumped in both feet, and said, "Here we go."
Dan's such a history nerd that he studies the history on studying history.
Hey, Herodotus was both the
Huh.
father of history and the father of lies. So
There you go. Nice.
I'm a
Well,
nerd.
isn't history really history is just telling stories that might be like fish stories,
Yeah. Yeah.
I could be wrong. I probably have a pretty good lag. Am I lagging?
I mean,
You
your
you
sound's
were
coming in fine.
you were pretty bad before, but not so much now. It says that your network bandwidth is
Yeah, I
low.
totally, yeah, yeah. That sounds right. You would think have a higher bandwidth since I was in the band, but that didn't happen.
Because
Uh,
you weren't a flautist.
man, apparently, yeah, yeah, that's
Well
what it
done.
is.
Well done.
Well played.
He was
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
That's a
peckerhead.
good callback. That's
that
good.
was good. It's true. I was a peckerhead. You're right. All right. Well, Roger, Dan, we go around and to different spots here. So we'll do the first one. This is veteran news with Vic.
Okay.
No, this is military news with Vic. I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you for the correction. Yes. All right. I'm going to turn on my video here and see if I do not freeze or if you guys freeze. We'll see. Um, Pentagon announced that the United States has deployed B-2 Spirit bombers in the Middle East to destroy targets in Yemen. Targets controlled by the Houthis were buried deep underground, said the Pentagon press secretary, which is a major general, by the way, if you guys don't remember, Pat Ryder. U.S. forces targeted several of the Houthis' underground facilities, housing various weapons components for the types the Houthis have used to target civilian and military vessels throughout the region. So for those of you that don't know, we have military forces that are in the Red Sea, what's it, the Bab el Mandeb something Strait, and then the Gulf of Aden, Aden. So they're basically protecting. They're running pirate control basically that are being funded by Iran. So they went sent deployed B-2 bombers to take out one of the weapon caches. For those of you following, Hamas leader has been destroyed, has been killed. Yahya Sinwar, the leader of the terrorist group of Hamas by Israel forces, is a major achievement in counterterrorism, said our Secretary of Defense. Sinwar's death will not heal the wounds of October 7 atrocities that he plotted or the many deaths for which he is responsible, but I hope that it may bring some small measure of justice and solace to the families and the loved ones of the many victims of Sinwar's premeditated cruelty. So, let's see. Also, the components and personnel for the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD, system are en route to Israel. I think I briefed on that a week and a half ago, something like that. Let's see what else we got. Boom. For those of you who were following, the Navy lost an EA-18G Growler. It was recovered, and the media is waiting to be notified until they notify the family. But the aircraft and the pilots were recovered. Where was it? It's somewhere. I can't remember. Pardon me, I'm trying to zoom in and out. Oh, near Mount Rainier. The electronic attack squadron 130, based out of Naval Air Station Whidbey Island, Washington, crashed near Mount Rainier on Tuesday while conducting a routine training flight. Let's see, go on to the next. I briefed several weeks ago about overblast protection, right? And overblast trauma. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Washington. The blast shook the ground with red flash cover. Okay, wait a minute. Well, from new required testing and blast monitors to reshaping explosive charges. So now all these tests and all the data is starting to come out from overblast that I mentioned. I guess about a month ago now. And people are the service DoD and services are starting to act on it. It's not just research anymore. Now it's turning into actual action. We have guys lining up to volunteer for studies. Said retired Sergeant Major F. Bowling, a former special operations medic who now works as a contractor for the command. This is extremely important to the community, and they're very concerned about it. The Department of Defense does not have good data on the number of troops with blast overpressure problems, which is harder to detect than traumatic brain injury. Interesting statistic. According to the department's
Now, with that, you said before. Sorry, you said before that would even shooting just like your M16 causes stuff, right?
Yes, it could be as small as as little as small arms fire can be affecting the blast overpressure. But let's see, according to the department's Traumatic Brain Injury Center of Excellence, more than 20,000 service members were diagnosed with traumatic brain injury last year. More than 500,000 have been diagnosed since 2000. So if you add this blast overpressure to traumatic brain injury, it could increase those numbers dramatically.
There's a book that came out earlier this year, and I cannot recall the author's name, so apologies. But it's called Operator Syndrome, and it's not an officially recognized diagnosis yet. But the short of it is, you take the TBI with, it's primarily TBI, but then you add in several other layers of some inhalation problems and compounded stress and all these other things, and they're thinking that this could be a thing that the VA picks up in years to come, because it has a lot to do with this TBI. And there's a lot of studies that have, like you mentioned in the article there's a lot of studies that are coming out that we have a bigger problem than we thought we did.
Exactly. Yeah. Pentagon spokesperson said emerging information from evaluations of both acute blast and repetitive low-level exposures, so including small fires, shows links to adverse effects such as inability to sleep, degraded cognitive performance, headaches, and dizziness. So yeah,
I mean, when you think about it, it's we're going to give you repeated TBIs. We're going to starve you at times. We're going to make sure you don't have any sleep. We're going to put you under constant stress. We're going to make you inhale, burn pits, and then we're going to, look surprised when you're not at optimal performance.
And then wonder why after the fact people have mental issues and disorders and say, oh yeah, adios.
Never mind the wars that we gave away, but that's a story for another day.
Well, before you guys continue along around this more serious path, let me say two things about Vic's amazing update. One, is it amazing or terrifying that about 250 years after the golden age of piracy is still a problem? And two, oh crap, I forgot what two was.
Piracy is job security for Marines. That's all it is.
Good point.
Oh, yeah. And
good point.
Two, and Roger and I actually talked about this, I believe, yesterday or maybe the day before. But the Hamas or Hezbollah dude that got killed, Sinwar.
Sinwar, yeah.
If there was ever a single human being that without makeup or any sort of camera lighting or angles that looked more like a Bond villain, I've never seen him. Every single picture of this guy that I've seen, even when he's smiling, he looks like a Bond villain.
Central casting, yep.
Yeah, I mean, Like, are we really that upset that this real life Bond villain died?
The answer is nobody's upset. Even the people that might even be pretending to be upset, they're not upset.
Yeah, there was
Good.
some interesting video. So when Israeli forces found him, he was hiding in basically a blown out mansion. And the drone footage shows the drone going in the window, and he's just got his back turned to the window and is just sitting in a chair. Realizes it's there. He's obviously already wounded, and then he like tries to throw something at the drone, and that's when the camera shot cuts out. And I think probably seconds later came the final blow. But it was.
I saw something about how it was the drone operators were recruits and reservists,
Really?
Oh, I love it.
like IDF recruits and reservists. And I don't know. I just kind of thought
No kidding.
that was somehow poetic. I don't know if that's true or not. I just, in the, you know, the first 24 hours after something happens, you got to be very careful about what you believe. So
Yeah.
maybe that's not true, but it is something that was out there. There's something
Well,
strangely
if it was
poetic
on the
about it.
face pages, if it was on the face pages, that's for real because the face pages does not lie ever.
Yeah. I mean, there's that famous Abraham Lincoln quote that if it's on the internet, it must be true.
Good old honest Abe.
That's right.
I was going to ask if anybody saw that video, and I don't, whether to believe it or not, but it was actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, I
so,
haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, the drone comes in through the window, and he's kind of sitting in a sofa chair or something in the corner. And I mean, it was bombed out. Next, he takes like a piece of wood and throws it at the drone, and the drone goes, and it kind of comes back in, and then it just cuts off. So,
yeah,
I kind of love how you can make it something that would have been considered very highly impersonal. Doing strategic bombing or bunker busters or all that. It's like, no, it's personal again. We're actually gonna, in a way, look you in the eye right before we bring this building down on top of your head. And
yeah, there was there was centuries ago, there was papal intervention about the use of crossbows in medieval warfare and about how that was
it's not fighting fair.
So
yeah,
against
it's brutal.
the male, right?
Non-chivalric.
Yeah. And then not that long ago, I believe that the late Princess Diana was a huge proponent for the anti-landmine movement.
Yeah, that was her big thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just flying drones into people's faces saying hello and goodbye at the same moment.
Dan, I thought you were going to talk about the medieval papal states and how they use drone warfare. Never mind. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about Charles' invasion of France, we can, or Charles of France's invasion of Italy and taking on Pope Alexander VI, we can, but I think that would bore many of the fellow crew here.
Well,
no, I'd actually enjoy listening to it. That's
good. Dan hates French people, and Dan, their people.
I don't hate.
Okay. Leave the frogs alone, okay?
I'd rather talk about Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
I never actually saw that. Is it worth a watch?
It's not too bad. You got nothing else to do. I definitely read it. Yeah. He called the axe the most handy tool. He swings it a lot in the movie.
Fair enough.
It's worth watching, but it wasn't worth going to the theater for. But it's one of those if you're on a plane. It's a good one.
There's a lot of movies like that.
It's actually a good watch. But no, to go back to the drone coming in, you were talking about history and all that, and all of a sudden it just popped in my head. It was like Lionel Richie, that song. Drone comes in, it's like, hello. It was you we're looking for.
I can see it in your eyes.
It's
I can see it in your smile.
I don't think he was smiling at about that moment. But.
As you throw a stick right at me.
Yeah.
We're gonna put a bomb right through your door.
Yeah.
Man, who would have known we were gonna have karaoke tonight? This is awesome.
Hey, Let's go.
I mean,
Chris is kicking in next.
Lionel Richie was not on my bingo card for this evening, so
That's why my wife says sometimes I do stuff like that. And my kids have the same sense of humor, and with movies and movie quotes and song stuff. And she looks right at me. She goes, "Why are you such a damn goober?" I'm like, I can't help it. It's just, it is what it is. She goes, "I swear to God." I was like,
it's who
"You
I
don't
am.
like that?" She goes, "Yeah, that's why I love you." I'm like, "Okay, well, why are you giving me shit about it?"
just look her in the eyes and say, "Say you, say me."
No, that's where I start singing. Paul knows. Oh, here she comes.
Watch out, boy. AJ, did this go the direction you wanted? I'm sorry. We're children.
No, this is usually how it goes.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, this is perfect. This is perfect. This is exactly how I like my podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
right here.
I don't get to catch every episode, but I mean, this is about the standard.
Oh, wow.
Grown children.
Another insult. Yeah. Another insult. I see how he is.
No. It's not an insult. It's a freewheeling and dealing, conversation and, covering a wide variety of things. And I mean, that's the way any conversation between any group of people should go.
From Lionel Richie
very
to
true.
the chivalric
very
code
true.
to drone warfare. So it's very good.
Yes. There you go.
Hey, crossbows, when the apocalypse happens, that's the way to go. We already saw that in movies. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the last thing everybody's trying to pick up, arrows and bows. And
well, it's a reliable firearm with reusable ammunition, and all it requires is some tension strength. So, yeah. You don't want them getting close to you. Otherwise you could use like a claymore, That's rather hefty, and it's not exactly usable.
I assume you're referring to the two-handed sword and, not the anti-personnel landmine. But
have I showed you my warehouse?
Now that you mention it. Point towards the enemy.
When I first retired, I was actually gifted a Claymore doorbell.
I was going to ask if anybody had seen those. So yeah.
I was actually gifted a Claymore doorbell by a former coworker, and I seriously considered putting it up.
I'm assuming it's got the face towards the enemy.
Yes.
Yeah. Very nice. Don't ring the doorbell.
And I didn't. Instead, I just ripped out the doorbell altogether.
Smart.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah. Not fond of doorbells or phones ringing. There's a lot of things I don't like.
Dan mentioned this on one of our shows the other day. As we get older, our circle of friends, loved ones get smaller, but stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
But the list of things that we really love, people, good. The list of things that Dan hates, however, seems to get geometrically larger with each passing day.
The things that as you go through life and you start doing some introspection or reflection on the life that you've lived, the things that you care about, like truly care about, and the things that really, really matter, that list gets shorter and shorter and shorter as the years go on. But
boobies will always be on it.
Well, of course.
Amen.
But the list of things, in my case anyway, the list of things that I absolutely can't stand, just the things that drive me insane, that list gets twice as long every time my list of things I care about gets shorter. So, yeah.
They don't know what to say to that.
That's fair. Fair.
No, I
don't even know if I'm on anymore.
Yeah.
You wowed them with your brilliance.
I can't disagree with you.
Now get off my lawn.
No, get off my lawn.
Yeah. Here's your ball.
Yeah, there you go. Point towards the enemy.
Give me complete silence.
Man.
Give me complete silence an elevated position and clear fields of fire for 500 yards in any direction, and then a helipad to bring in and bring out everything I care about.
I like it. Yeah.
Maybe we could put him out on
It's
one of those
good.
abandoned oil rigs or something.
Ooh.
Maybe in the North Atlantic that you love so much, Dan. Enjoy.
Halfway between freedom and France.
That's right.
That's called purgatory.
Oh.
Is there any other veteran news?
Well, let's.
No
Well,
more
we're
better
going to
news.
move
I
on
yield the
to
rest
the
of my time.
magical. We're going to move on to the magical Mary news with Mike McNanny. I can't remember what it is, but Mike, it's all you.
Marvelous Mary news with magical Mike McNanny.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
It is your damn
There's too many
podcast,
M's.
Andrew. You can't remember? Jesus.
I
Good
can't even
Lord.
stay online, let alone
Well,
remember something.
I mean, write the shit down or something. You got cue cards there? I mean, do something. Jesus.
And put it in your
Good
green
Lord.
book.
You know what? I'm going to take another drink.
And on the 8th day, God gave us sticky notes.
Write in the rain notebooks.
He gave us the intelligence to write.
Yeah.
Oh, you kind of put me on a spot now.
Some of us. Well, good. You deserve
always
it for making
know
fun
you're
of me.
next.
Oh, I didn't know I was
I'm
next.
sorry,
I
Mike.
thought I used to be last. Well, we switched back and
I've
forth.
always been last. I have been last since day one.
Well, excuse me, lady. Jeez. Calm down.
I am pretty sure that is sexist.
Exactly. Yes.
You're
Yes,
in
it
good
is.
company. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm not 100%, and I don't have the paperwork to back it up. I'm just going off of the social construct around me.
This is me sliding out of my chair.
Roger's like, why the hell did
Yeah,
I
Charlie
agree to come on
Brown.
this? Why did I agree to come on this?
Oh man.
All right, here
Yeah,
it is.
good times.
Sorry, Mike.
It's a good story, but it's not like it's a good story. I'll take it back. All right. Comes out of Massachusetts, the 11th of October.
I thought you said it was a good story.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, dang.
Yes, that was his wife at
Wow.
Massachusetts.
You'd be nice to
Dan?
those massholes. Okay.
Is Dan talking again? I mean, what? All right. Well, I just came across it the other night when I was flipping through some stuff, but a Massachusetts senior citizen lost an envelope containing $12,000 in a supermarket while she was grocery shopping. Out of the kindness of a good Samaritan, all $12,000 was reunited with her, which was her life savings. After getting home from the grocery store at the local Market Basket in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, 71-year-old woman had an envelope full of $12,000 in her purse and somehow dropped it. She speaks very little English and called her nephew to, could you please help me? I lost all my money. So they went back to the Market Basket and searched all over the store and got with the manager of the grocery store and he told them the story. And I don't want to botch names, and I'm assuming it was, an older Asian lady, but said that, my aunt, that was her nephew, yeah. She speaks very little English, and she lost this money. So they went and checked security cameras, and they caught her coming in to the store. They followed her everywhere, but at no point in time did they see her on it to see where she had dropped this money. I'm sorry. My page just went squirrely here on me.
He's building suspense.
I know. I was going to say, that's a hell of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, literally went to scroll and my whole screen went cling to a different thing. While they were leaving the grocery store and she was in tears, suddenly a man walked into the store, and the store manager came out and came running out to grab them. And it was actually an article posted in the Washington Post. He came running up. The store manager came running up to meet him with the man that had found the money. And the man had the money in his hand and said he had found it, picked it up in the parking lot, but didn't know what it was till he got home. He got all the way home
wow.
when he opened the envelope, because it was a thick, 12 grand, a thick envelope. Saw it, and he went back, and he said it was such an honor to give her money back to her, that to see her in tears, and she turned around the next day, went back to the grocery store, because the man's girlfriend was one of the supervisors at the grocery store, and gave him, left $300 for him for as a reward, and he refused to take it at that point. But
Wow.
I guess really the moral of the story is that somebody had that much class and that much honor to go back and say, hey, not knowing whose money it was, but to say, hey, this isn't mine. And took it back. Didn't take it to the police, but took it back to the grocery store and said, hey, I found this at that point. But she said that she did not trust banks as an older woman. So she kept all of her money and all of her checks in an envelope. And as the more money she saved, the bigger the envelope got. I don't know what size envelope it was. It's probably like one of those manila, yellow envelopes with the little paper clip in, on the end, or a little twisty tie thing on it or something like that, the old document folders. I know it wasn't all that an impressive of a story, but I mean,
no, I think it is.
Gives you faith in
I
humanity.
think that especially in this day and age, when so many people seem to be so angry all the time about something,
yes,
a story like that
yeah.
shows that there still are
Yeah.
good people out there with a good heart and good
Well, you
intent.
can have faith in humanity, yes. And this was an older,
Yeah.
a senior citizen, older Asian woman, and the person that found it was 24.
Wow.
Wow.
A 24-year-old.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Said he was in college, and he said, could I have used the money? Yes, I could have used the money. He said, but it wasn't mine because I didn't earn it.
His mom raised him right.
The moral
at that point, karma's a bitch, and he wasn't willing to take.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not mine. So
and the moral of the story is, don't put your money in an envelope. Stuff it in a mattress like everybody else.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Still don't trust the banks. Use your mattress, though.
Yeah.
Put it in gold bars and bury it under a tree somewhere.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the end of the story was her nephew took her to the bank and opened up a bank account, and she deposited the money in the bank.
He's like, no, Nana, we're not doing this anymore.
No.
And you know what? That poor nephew, that probably wasn't the first time this had happened, but he was like, this is the last time it's going to happen.
But she said that $12,000 was everything she had. She lived month to month on bare necessities, but had saved that $12,000, and her intent was that it was going to be to her inheritance, the inheritance of her family.
Yeah.
Wow.
Put it in an interest-bearing savings account, although those aren't that great anymore.
But all jokes aside, that really does show that there still are some genuinely good people left.
Absolutely.
Despite what we may read or hear or see across all the different, media platforms, there really are good people left. So,
well, that goes to say I'm sorry, Roger, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Please.
No, I was going to say, that goes to say, even for, veterans, we get this reputation of being rough, or jaded and don't like society, and we don't like people, and we don't want to be social, and we don't want to do things like
Don't
that.
like the French. I mean,
Why?
What's that?
they don't
Why are
like
you
the
talking
French.
about me
talking
like
about?
that?
Well, I know Andrew goes into Walmart with overalls and nothing else on and a pair of Crocs, and he wonders why people,
Why they won't stop staring. Well, Mike,
I
to your
do
point,
that as
I
a
mean,
deterrence.
a lot of veterans are all
It
of those
is.
things, but I mean, we all have a ethical code or a moral code or like something. We have some kind of code of honor that we either showed up to the military or we got it beat into us once we got there. I don't know if that's necessarily true for all of our civilian counterparts.
Yeah.
Many, but not all.
It's true.
Well, that's
Guys.
one thing I always with her. Go ahead, Christy. Go ahead.
All I was going to tell you is when I do my speech every Tuesday, I actually tell a story about something that happened to me at El Toro with the Major Dad show. And I've never shared it. I don't share it with many people, but I tell these Marines this every Tuesday. And the thing is that real integrity is, oh my gosh, I just had a little senior moment, but real integrity is doing the right thing when no one will ever know you did it. The real integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching.
Yeah.
And there's a whole story that goes up with it when I tell these Marines the story, but and that's what I tell them. And I tell them that's the only preaching you'll get.
And expecting no benefit from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Integrity is doing the right thing when no one else is watching.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I tell them.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, Mike, you got anything else?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay.
I had to put on a smile and be merry marvelous, magical. What? I'm sorry, it's not my podcast, so I didn't write it down. What is it?
The
Vic?
marvelous Mary News with magical Mike McNanny. Is that right, Vic?
Like a
Yes,
nursery
that's
rhyme.
it.
I like it.
It's a tongue twister for sure.
That sounds like some sort
All right.
of Willy Wonka treat.
That matches. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I do have one other
Yeah.
thing. Last Saturday was my birthday, my 51st
Oh,
birthday.
that's a
and
great shirt.
This is a shirt my daughter and my her boyfriend bought me for my birthday. It was Whiskey Bourbon 24. There we go.
Gets my
That's
vote.
who I'm voting for.
We'll vote
I like it.
I voted just a few days ago, and they were not on the ballot. Otherwise,
What?
yes, I would have.
The travesty, the horror.
Dan
I
did
say
a
that all
write
the
in.
time.
Yeah, when I
Pain
got
and
there, it
Misery.
said right in, and I was like, Whiskey Bourbon.
Yeah.
Maybe
How
not.
do I spell that again?
Dan
It
did
was
a
like-
write-in write-in vote for candidates Pain and Misery. So
All right, well, let's jump into history with Krista.
All right. Well, I usually have some kind of, I'm serious, some French history or something fun. I'm just picking on you because of French. We usually pick on AJ because he doesn't have an awning, but I'm just picking on you for French.
We had to
And
bring it
Roger,
up.
that gray you have under here, that's called wisdom. That's why they don't card you at the store for alcohol.
it's been a while.
All right. I've got a couple of little fun things here. A couple little interesting things here. In 1770, this is on October 20th. What's that? What today is? October 20th. Today in history. A little bit of military, not a lot. 1774, Continental Congress ordered the discouragement of entertainment. And that was in the response. What had happened was the British had passed four little rules, four little laws, which they did it in rebuttal to the Boston Tea Party that had taken place. And they were articles of, let's see if I can get them out here a little bit. They had just kind of, the Boston Tea Party had taken place the previous year. And then they started doing some stuff. They passed these four little punitive laws, the intolerable acts.
Yep.
And so we passed some laws here to kind of, the Continental Congress passed some laws to kind of discourage us from doing things to rebut those. So the punitive laws were passed in response to the Patriot uprisings in the North. So that was one of the big things that we did. The second thing was in 1818, believe it or not, I'd never heard of this. The 49th parallel formed is the border between the U.S. and Canada. And I did not know that's what it was called. So that was kind of interesting. Speaking, we talked about some of those a few weeks ago as far as our borders, our little U.S. borders here.
Dan's winding up for a Canadian joke here.
Huh? You got a Canadian joke?
Huh?
Oh, I thought he said something about a Canadian joke.
No, Roger said something about it.
In 1864, now this was actually read on October 3rd, but it was ratified today. In 1864, Lincoln formally established the Thanksgiving holiday. So, that's right. So, and I'll read that a little bit later if anybody would like me to do that. It's about a 4-minute read. It's kind of long. Now, in 1903, the U.S. actually won the disputed boundary between the District of Alaska and Canada. And the big one, which I remember, of course, Mike and I talked about this the other day too. My birthday was Saturday. I turned the big 60. Whoop, whoop. I cannot believe that I was, and Mark's not here this week, that I was considered a baby boomer. I just have the hardest time wrapping my head around that. I do not feel like one. I don't know.
Nobody wants to be associated with the boomers.
No.
I know, really.
Damn easy.
But I remember this being a water skier. Being a water skier, my dad and I would go to the gas station. We'd fill up the Mastercraft ski boat, go up there to Lake Allatoona, and water skiing and jumping. And I was a jumper. He was a slalom skier. But in 1973, OPEC oil embargo began. And I remember the gas price going from 39 cents a gallon to 53 cents a gallon. And
That
my
was
dad
horrible.
and I were just like, it was, huh?
I said, that's horrible.
I know it was horrible for us. We were just like, can we afford it? And I know you guys are probably thinking, but I was in third grade in 1973. So, but that was a pretty big deal for us back then. So
Wow.
it was a different time, a whole different world. But then again, I could ride my bike to the 7-Eleven and be gone for 8 hours, and my parents didn't care. Go blackberry picking and hang out in strangers' basements and bake pie and shoot billiards, and it was no big deal.
Sad childhoods like that.
Well, that concept of the get out of my house, child, and leave me alone is not that old, because it was the same way when Roger and I were kids. Our parents would be like, "Oh, your homework's done. Get out of my house.
Out now.
Come back when it's dark."
Maybe
When the
it's
street lights are on.
Yeah.
Maybe
And actually,
but it all worked out.
The OPEC deal happened in 73, but I remember my dad absolutely losing his mind. Like, we were coming back from church or something one morning, and I remember my dad losing his mind because the price of gas had gone up a quarter. And just going ballistic in our station wagon that we had. I don't know. I was like, I don't know, 6,
We had a green one.
whatever it was.
Did it have wood paneling?
Wow.
Ours did not. No.
No, mine was an
It
old.
doesn't
Did you have the
Those-
seat that faced backwards?
The
Yes.
backwards facing
No,
seat.
no,
Yes. Yes.
Who thought that was a good idea?
our old station wagon was a oh man, what was it? It was a small one. It wasn't like the Ferris Bueller station wagon.
Pinto.
Oh,
Pinto.
it was a Dodge or a Chrysler. It was burgundy red.
Those were simpler
Stratus?
times.
Is that what it was called? The Stratus?
It was like McDonald's color, McDonald's menu green, puke green. It was.
The baby barf
Yeah,
green.
I remember we were coming back from church or something. We were driving down the road, and there was this gas station. My dad was like, "Oh, we need to get gas," and he just looked at the sign and was like, "Oh, hell no! Can you believe this?" And he went off on a tirade like all the way home about how gas had gone up a quarter.
Those were simpler times.
Simpler times. Now when we go out to the pump,
Or-
they go up,
Poor Mark is out in California having to pay like, $20 a gallon or something. I don't know. It's way up there. I think it's $6 a gallon. Is that what we're paying?
At least we're under $3 here, and at least where we're at in Eastern North Carolina. I imagine out Western North Carolina is probably more than that, but
unfortunately,
Oh yeah.
yeah. My son was telling me the other night in Western Washington. He lives in Bellingham, just down below Vancouver.
oh well, yep.
And he said, well, the price of gas went down. I said, oh yeah, where's it at now? He said, yeah, it went down to five something. It was $5.78 a gallon. I was like, went down?
Oh my God.
Well, is that in Canadian?
No, that wasn't Canadian. No, I promise you, no.
It gets blurry in Bellingham area up there. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing in there, though. I mean, I didn't realize it going out there and, actually filling up like a rental car. I was standing there at the pump and it said, I was looking at all the different prices. You have a city tax, you have a state tax, you have a federal tax, you have this tax. And I was like,
oh my God.
Yep.
So gas really is like $3.99, but with all these taxes, it's $6.99 at that point. So
it's for your own
that's
good,
because you're all horrible people and you drive environment destroying and planet ruining gas engines.
Yeah.
So
and
if
you would all get on board,
coal power plant powered house.
If you would all get on board with the humanity saving solar panel driven cars with their wind turbine engines on the back, then gas would be cheap.
Wind turbine engine on the back. Yeah. I love it.
Patent pending.
That is coming from the Army there. The Army is telling us that we need to go woke. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, apparently out there, like a Subaru Forester is the best vehicle to have. It's the most economic, fuel efficient vehicle there is. So
I lived in Washington for about a year, and there are a lot of Subarus out there.
Oh yeah.
Holy smokes.
We have one.
Yeah, I mean they're good vehicles, but
absolutely.
And Oregon's not too far behind. So
yeah. Well, it's funny in Washington State, between once you get to like central Washington, you get to the mountains, the pass to go down towards Seattle. My father-in-law lives in Eastern Washington in Spokane, retired out of the Air Force.
It's like Texas.
It's a completely different state.
Yeah, I mean,
it's high desert.
Yeah, Washington and Oregon are really like you could slice each one of them into different parts, and it's like there's entirely different communities. Like the further you enter the eastern portion of the state, and then you drive through like 3 or 4 different communities of people before you get to the coast. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, so Eastern Washington's high desert. So culturally and geographically, it's like West Texas. And then you get to the middle-ish of the state, which is that you've got a band of mountains that runs right through, and everybody here knows mountain folk are their own thing. And then you got Western Washington, which is what everybody generally associates with Washington. The rain, the coffee, and Kurt Cobain. So, 3 different states.
I love it.
And the Seahawks. Don't forget the Seahawks.
How could I forget?
Oh man, that's good. All right, well, I keep cutting in and out, and I apologize for that. But let's go ahead and go words of wisdom here, and we'll just go all the way around. And I know that Roger and Dan know all about this, and they're prepared. So yeah, I saw it. So let's go ahead and do, and so words of wisdom. Krista, you want to go first?
Sure. The only thing standing between you and your goal. Oh, I'm sorry. I was ready. The only thing standing between you and your goal is the story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. It's very simple.
That is good. Yeah. All right, Mike, what do you got? Mike, check.
Yeah. You hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you.
Again. Oh, here it is. All right. This is from Dale Carnegie. It's actually going to kind of sound like somebody that we hear talking a lot lately in politics, but I remember this quote from a long time ago, reading it, and now it's remember, today is tomorrow. Remember, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday.
It's good.
Damn it.
I like that.
I didn't hear it.
Remember,
the tomorrow you worried about yesterday.
Still can't hear it.
Remember, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday.
Good.
And
That'll
unfortunately,
make you
that
think
sounds
right
like
there.
somebody that goes cackle, cackle, cackle. Let me word salad.
Well, I mean,
Word salad.
Well, if you've been unburdened by what has
Carnegie's
been.
quote is far more profound than being unburdened by what has been.
Yes.
Yep, good point. All right, Vic, what do you got?
Well, I got two that are related. The first one is from our vampire slayer, Mr. Abraham Lincoln. My best friend is a person who will give me a book I have not read.
I like it.
Followed up by a quote that I don't know who said it, but a man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read.
Ooh,
Very good.
wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good one.
Dang. Vic's pulling out the big guns. That's good. All right, Dan, what do you got?
Okay, well, I don't know who said this or where I read it or where I heard it, but many moons ago, I heard this, and it has gotten more and more true as the more I read and the more life goes on. But you can know history or you can trust your government. You cannot do both.
Wow.
Yep.
That is awesome. Say it one more time.
You can know history or you can trust your government. You cannot do both.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I think
and I don't mean that to be conspiratorial. It's just that as a lover of history and a big reader, I know what governments of various nations have done to their own people, and America is no different than China or Haiti or South Africa or India. Governments should be mistrusted to a degree by all their people, just to keep them honest.
very good point. Yeah. Man, I knew there was a reason I liked you, Dan.
It's the beard, man.
What could that possibly be?
All right. This is tough, Roger. I mean, you got to pull up at the end words of wisdom. And not to mention, you are the only officer in the group, too.
Officer.
You got me.
And to be fair, I wasn't much of an officer, so
I can back that up with testimonials.
Dan can corroborate that. Okay.
Very nice. I'm glad it's not just thrown at the Marines on the show here, Dan. I appreciate that. You're fair across the board. All right, Roger, what do you got for us?
So I don't have a pithy quote. I will go with this, in the spirit of, I've been officially retired for a couple weeks. I did 90 days of terminal leave, so I've, for all intents and purposes, been done, for most of the summer. But the last couple weeks had some time to really reflect on these things, and I'm just kind of in that season now of reflection and just in gratitude, thinking of all the people I met along the way, all the lessons, everything I learned. still trying to make sense of everything. I imagine there's certain things that I've experienced and done and seen that I'll never really truly make any sense out of, but I will endeavor to continue. But just really great run, but gratitude. If you orient your life around being grateful for your situation and not always wanting something else or always trying to get or do the next thing, if you orient your life around that, you'll be a lot better of a person, but you'll have that real joy. I don't mean happy in that superficial way, but that life in abundance, that joy. And it's a process. It's not easy, but that's where I'm at now. And that's what I leave to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. See? Yeah, that was great. I don't know what you were worried about, Roger. It was perfect. Yeah, sums it up fantastically. Yeah, I know. I know. Roger, Dan, thanks for coming on. You guys rock. I don't care what any of these other jarheads say about you. I like you. And to the other jarheads, thanks for joining again. I truly appreciate it. You guys are awesome and you keep me on track. I truly appreciate that. But to all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, you need help, don't forget the VA does have some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on the chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. Dan and Roger cares about you. The crew cares about you. The whole veteran community cares. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you serve with and check on them. And just, if they need a helping hand, give them that helping hand. All right, one last time. Thank you guys. Truly appreciate it. To all the listeners, stay motivated, change your socks.